talking about.
Yeah, I can show you a few of those here and see what I wanted to get some thoughts on that.
So Robert and Judith and everybody else.
I know Robert's really into the photography, right? So big time. So
yeah, and Judith is as well.
Yep, and you do too. Yep. I was curious about. I'm going to share a screen here in a second here, once I find the right picture I'm looking for.
I've presented you now, so just wait for it to come up.
Where is it?
It's going to be a bit of dun dun dun.
Yeah, share the screen here. Application
There's going to be a few sighs in the chat room when Chris shows us what he's going to show. There's going to be a few. Ooh.
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't go too far with that.
Oh, you're not doing the sun ones then, or is that coming up?
I'll get to those too. Yeah.
Aha. Okay then. Carry on then, please, Chris.
All right. So I was just researching the stars and the eclipses and all kinds of stuff, and I started to notice that all the night shots done by high-end photography with really good detail, you'll notice that across the water, when you compare the water to the sky, the stars are different, and they shouldn't be, right? In my opinion, there's got to be a reason why the stars in most of the photos, if you look at most of them, like you see a daytime shot of the stars or a daytime shot of a still lake, right? And and even the night ones, you get a nice perfect image of the mountain, and the trees are perfect. It's all perfect, right? There's even the clouds that are below the stars or clouds are in the water, right? And the rocks are doubled. But then you have to ask yourself, well, where's the rest of it? Where's all the Milky Way?
Oh,
sorry about that.
Robert, we've got a bit of feedback. You have to click off the other one.
Yeah.
Well, also,
I know that.
Yeah, there's also it looks like that the stars in the water are a little bit longer, a little bit.
Well, you get a little bit of angulation, a little bit of angle there, but there's one photo I was trying to find that was a really good example.
There's so you can actually line up the two in all directions.
Of course, now that I have it open, I can't find the picture that I really wanted to talk about because it was just right in your face. But
oh yeah.
Yeah, you will find it eventually.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah. Kind of always save the things you did.
Yeah,
exactly.
At the back of, I think I've almost about ancient structures, almost 1 terabyte of pictures.
A terabyte of pictures, yeah.
Yeah.
And that are only the ancient structures.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is there is there a 360 camera with that kind of optical capture that you're aware of?
360. There's some there that are. No, that's not 360. That's just only these things with time. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the 360 one.
Yeah, see, because some of the images I'm looking at, I can't, I certainly can't capture any video with that kind of resolution and low light. And my photos, well, first off, I haven't seen some of the stars like that. That is absolutely gorgeous. Have you? Is that in a photo album that you could share to the group or send to me, or have you already shared it?
I'm just these ones are just Googled off of just to share and doing image for like Milky Way and the Salt Lakes. These are salt lakes, right? Because they had the best images.
Yeah, I don't want to sound insulting. I just am. I haven't seen much of this type of photography before that I would recognize as actual or reliable. I'm used to seeing this kind of thing maybe from NASA or in science fiction. They're all these are spectacular. Is there?
Chris, see Proxy says in the chat room, just search for 360 Milky Way on YouTube. 360.
Say again.
360 Milky.
Put 360 Milky Way on YouTube.
Yep.
Z Proxy's got some.
Well, I think it's just, he says Sun and Moon Group. Just search for 360 Milky Way on YouTube. 360 cams are top notch. Wise up already.
Yeah, some of these obviously have their this is Royce Bear. Looks like he's a professional photographer near the Salt Lakes. He's got it stamped. It's nightspacephotos.com, a website. So I mean, some of these obviously could be stacked images where they take several shots and then stack them to enhance them a little bit.
Yeah.
And or a bit of a time lapse, like a long exposure type photograph. But even in this one here, you can see that the mountains are perfect, trees are perfect, everything else is perfect. You can just barely see the Milky Way, and the rest of the stars you don't see in the water. Right? I know the water can be a little bit absorbing of some light, but to me it just seems that there's just too much of it being absorbed. And I noticed too that the Milky Way, you can actually, I've seen a video where a person took the Milky Way and they ran a line down through the center of it here and then took Photoshop, flipped it onto itself, and it's a mirror image of itself. And you invert it. So to me it seems that I was trying to find the one that had Orion in it, because there was one that had a really nice shot of Orion I was talking to a friend about. But I'll just explain to you what I saw in that picture, and I'll try and find it and talk about it again. But when we looked at Orion in the sky, you had the 3 dots of Orion's belt, and then the dagger part had the 4 with looked like a little bit of a cross on, so it looked like a sword, Orion's sword. But in the water, there was only 2 stars in the sword, and I think these ankles were missing in the water, right? So some of the stars that were in Orion were visible in the sky, but are not visible in the water. So it just kind of led us to believe that it was a double image. The same stars were actually being reflected backwards and upwards and reflecting off of something else above it. So you're seeing more than one image of the same light source.
Chris, I may have a picture that you were searching for.
Okay, let me see what you got there.
Let's see. I have to attach it from my.
I'll bring up, while you're doing that, I'll bring up those sun ones too. But that's kind of, and talked to other photographers too, and they said, well, yeah, you're right. It kind of does look like there's multiple images of the same light source, but only some of the light's headed in this direction. And so just the light that's coming towards us, to our perspective, is being reflected in the water, and the other lights, we're looking out through a boundary layer that's, some sort of a dome shape, and we're looking out through it.
This one, Chris?
Let me see. Pop it up there.
What I noticed on some of the star shots that I've taken, or the sun and the moon, if they're too high in the sky, based on my perspective, I can't. My camera doesn't take a big enough picture when it's the standard horizontal position to get the reflection and the object in there. Like the star that's the brightest, one of the brightest stars that is typically close to the sun at the sun appearing. That one in particular, I have to typically turn my camera vertical to get both of them in the shot. So, and I noticed another thing too, on some of the photography, I've seen the moon come up over the ocean, and I've got pictures of it. However, the proportion of the moon is so much bigger than it should be in relationship to the ocean. So, you know, it seems like some of the photography is enhanced or altered, like you mentioned, like a multi-layered, like multiple pictures kind of blended together, maybe.
Well, as you're there, Robert, considering that Chris is going to be talking about these stars not being seen and stuff like that, maybe you could take a few pictures and see if you can does the same thing for you then.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I'll go through my photo album and see what I've got with stars. See, the challenge with the Coolpix P900, it's not quite as impressive of a night camera, at least not in my own level of skill in operating it. Maybe there's some settings that I could do to enhance that. But like the picture we're looking at that Chris put up there right now, I could get the light in the center, but all those stars up there, yeah, there's missing stars, big time. And see,
is that all right then, Chris? If Robert tries to take a few photographs like that for you.
Well,
Chris?
here's what I can see with this picture right here is that there's a lot of missing stars. Based on this, on my perspective to that horizon, I should see more of the stars down in the water than are there.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was. This is the actual photo I was looking for because it was one of the best examples. And I think some of it is like you're saying. Like, I mean, obviously, if the angle of the reflection hits the water and comes back to the camera lens, well, if the angle's too great, then the camera really can't see it. But I don't think is the case exactly, right? It's this one here. I mean, this is, you can see Orion down in the bottom left corner. Right?
Yeah.
The three dots on the belt, and there's only, if you zoom in really close, you might see that there's two primary dots and a little smaller dot for where the blade would be. And in the sky is that you get the three nice and bright, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4 on the knife part, right? And they just don't match up.
So, Chris, what are you thinking is going on here with this then? What would your explanation be from what you can tell?
I like
Without really getting into doing the photos myself and actually, doing the experiments, that's what I'm trying to call on you guys that are have all the gear to do that. My first guess would be that the stars in the sky, some of them, not all of them, but some of them, are multiple images of themselves being reflected backwards into a medium and reappearing, like as if you're looking into an infinity mirror, right? The ones in the water are all the stars that I would classify as the really emitting stars that are shining light in our direction. Everything else isn't shining light in this direction, at least not in enough intensity to either come through whatever that is or reach the water, right? Our camera lens. This has to be.
But Judith was going to say something, Chris. Maybe it might help. Judith, what were you going to say?
There is a difference between if we are standing there and we're watching in real, and what we do now, we watch the picture. I want to see this in reality, standing outside and see. Yeah, it's different, I think.
Yeah, I want to do the same. I'm going to try and find a lake around here somewhere on a nice, cool night, and try to go take a drive if I can sometime. Not sure when, but sometime.
Well,
Go see it.
Maybe Judith and Robert, if they're out, maybe could see if they could do a couple of, well, as best as they can, see how many stars come out on a few pictures. Judith and Robert?
I can try, yes.
I'll see what I can do. You know, one of the things that I joked about, where I did find the globe or the sphere or the curve would be the little atomized water droplets. They're each a reflective orb, and it's really fine and they're really small. And so like fog or droplets of water that are in clouds actually would be reflected in that water down below. Even though they don't generate light themselves, they reflect the light. So the amount of light that's near the horizon there, I would expect to see more light in the water below. Even though it may not appear like a real defined star, I would expect to see that more like a cloudy, not because it's not just that the stars aren't there, it's the blackness of the bottom. I would expect to see a little bit more illumination there with what's above. Does that see like in the area that's close to the middle of the picture? I would expect to the far right there's like clouds there. Yeah, and we're not in the how black it is with the random stars.
I'll tell you how you can do it, Robert. Put up the picture that's on your computer about the reflections of the clouds. When we came in, you were showing us a picture, because that's what you mean. Show that to Chris. That's missing from that photograph.
Well, I'm going to have to let me see. I'll see what I can do here. My camera is it's dying. That's the thing. I don't have enough power in it to be able to do that. It's my cover photo, is what it is. If maybe you can pull it up, Karen.
Go and look for it. Chris, you carry on talking and I'll pull up his picture, because it's just to show you what he's saying is there's clarity missing from that photograph. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, the blackness of the bottom I wouldn't expect to see with the amount of illumination that was above. That's basically it.
You can see it's a layover because you can see a few planes flying the lines. It's within the photo itself. So it's actually an overlay in time, of a short time. Probably.
Yeah, that one there is, it's about a 45-second long exposure, because there's a couple of plane trails that you can see in the flashing light, like dots over time. So it's definitely a long exposure, but I mean, I agree with what Robert's saying too. There certainly are stars missing in the water, especially in that image. But when I looked at that image, it's the first one that kind of got my attention, and I looked at that. I was like, okay, well, what other examples of this can I see? And I looked, a couple hundred pictures of, different search cues too, like Salt Lake night shots, Salt Lake reflections. So that's why I was going to ask the photographers what they think, because
I was thinking
it doesn't
about
make sense. Yeah.
I was thinking about all this camera. Maybe there is a trick. We can't see what we can see. I mean, maybe there is a trick with all this camera. I don't know. This is what I'm thinking. Maybe there is many things we can see if the camera was in another system, not like this. Because if everything is controlled, maybe all this camera to this system, maybe it's a trick. I don't know. That's what I think. You know.
Yeah, I don't know if it's maybe something's going on there for sure. Yeah, I don't know if if they have the ability to program every camera to do the same tricking, etc., etc. But it's and I know there's a lot of people that play with the photos with Photoshop, and that's the problem. It's so hard on the internet now to figure out, well, who's messing with the image and who's not messing with the image, which ones are real. You know, NASA's faking all their photos, and so is everybody else faking all their photos too, right? Yeah.